When you game with Alienware, you have the freedom to be anyone, whether it's a smooth-sounding narrator or the galaxy's most feared warrior. And the freedom to go anywhere in nearly an instant. So no matter who you choose to be or where you choose to go, Alienware empowers you to defy boundaries and find freedom. Elevate your gameplay with the new Alienware X-Series laptops with 11th Gen Intel Core processors. Defy boundaries and start gaming now at Alienware.com.
This is MuggleCast, episode 13 for October 30th, 2005. Ooh, Halloween! Ooh. Episode 13. A MuggleCast! Wow, that was great. Good job, everyone. Took us 2 hours to rehearse for that. Welcome, everyone, to the show, episode 13, that is conveniently placed right on Halloween. Well, not right on. If you're listening on Monday, it's Halloween, and you're thinking right now, wow, episode 13, right on Halloween. That's an unlucky number. I'm Andrew Sims.
Oh, I'm Eric Skull.
I'm Laura Thompson.
And I'm Micah Tannenbaum.
This is the show where we bring you the latest in Harry Potter news, theories, discussions, cooking recipes, acne treatments. It's all here. But before we get to anything else, first let's go over to Micah for the past week's top news stories.
Thanks, Andrew. All 24 tracks from the fourth Harry Potter movie soundtrack have been posted up on AOL Music. Additionally, WB has launched a great website dedicated to the Goblet of Fire soundtrack. Composer Patrick Doyle said, quote, "I'm particularly proud of my score for Harry Potter, because it's the biggest commercial picture I've ever done." As part of their promotion for the upcoming film, several of the cast will be appearing on a variety of talk shows in the upcoming weeks. Here's the rundown. The Ellen DeGeneres Show on October 31st. New Goblet of Fire footage will air. GMTV on ITV1 October 31st, 7 to 8:35 a.m. Appearances by Harry Potter teen stars, and new Goblet of Fire footage will air there as well. Dan Radcliffe will appear by himself on the following shows. Friday Night with Jonathan Ross on BBC One, November 4th at 10:35 p.m. Live with Regis and Kelly on ABC, November 10th. And Total Request Live on MTV, November the 11th. Finally, taped interviews with the cast will air on The Today Show on NBC, November 11th. Check local listings if no time or channel has been specified. For all the new interviews, including the Goblet of Fire press junket from last Saturday, pictures, poster scans, and video clips, log on to MuggleNet's main page. Additionally, the Yule Ball mini site has opened over at gobletoffire.com, and TLC has a special access link to the Dark Mark mini site, not yet open to the public. Moving from the silver screen to the courtroom in September, little-known Winnipeg folk group the Weird Sisters filed a lawsuit seeking over $40 million in compensation against Warner Brothers. The same lawsuit affected the people who play in the Yule Ball band. They did so believing the Goblet of Fire movie contains a scene featuring this band with the same name as theirs. It was announced yesterday that the group have now secured a November 4th court date where they hope to have the film barred from distribution across Canada. The Polvidori family in Nacogdoches, Texas have spent the last few days constructing a real-life Dark Mark. The model, which looks great at night, is 4 by 5 feet and was made out of green rope lights. They have positioned the eerie mark 7 feet above their house. Finally, wrapping up the news, the blue Ford Anglia that was used in the second Harry Potter movie has been stolen, reports BBC News. Apparently the car had been moved to the Southwest Film Studios in St. Agnes for an exhibition. Police believe the car was towed or trailer lifted from the scene as it cannot be driven. Quite the contrary. The car drives just fine. Oops. Did I say that out loud? Well, anyway, before we go, a very happy birthday to MuggleNet staffer Catherine, who celebrated her birthday on Friday. That's all the news from our news center in New York for this October 30th, 2005 Halloween edition of MuggleCast. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Micah. We have tons of stuff to bring to you this week. So much. Isn't that right, my fellow MuggleCasters?
That's
Righto.
correct, Andrew.
We're going to talk some HP Halloween, but first, let's cover a few announcements. First of all, Micah, Eric, Laura, I think, Eric, you've done it. We've all done it. We've signed up for our Frapper map.
Yes.
Yes? Yay, yay! Our Frapper map... I found this map service the other day, right after episode 12 came out, that lets you set up a Google map that your listeners or anyone you want can put their little put a little pin on this map that shows you where you are. And I put it on the MuggleCast page. You can get to it by clicking on Tell Us Where You Live. And everybody's been telling us where they live in the U.S. and actually in the world. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's really... Now we know where everyone lives. And actually, it's quite intimidating because...
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like surrounded by people. It's kind of like, ugh. I didn't know people listen to this show.
Yeah.
There's
It's
nobody
kind of
in
weird
North
when you
Carolina,
look
but
at the
there's,
map
you
and
know.
see someone 30 minutes away from you listens to you
Yeah.
on their iPod.
Yeah, really. There's still a couple of states that we haven't conquered yet.
Like
but we're getting there.
North Dakota.
We have about 270-ish people right now that have joined into it. But if you want to join in, just go to MuggleCast.com and click on Tell Us Where You Live. And you can include a photo and comments. And I think one person said it best. They said, "Oh, good, now I know where everybody lives in case I got to move out of my house." So now we can all network together, and we can just go to each other's houses. Last week, we asked you to help us out by voting for us on Yahoo Podcasts, and also vote for us on Podcast Alley. A couple of updates there. First of all, we're number 1 on Yahoo Podcasts, highly rated section. Thanks to
Yahoo.
you guys.
Yahoo.
Yeah, really. Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Also on Podcast Alley, we need a new vote from each of you every month because they reset their votes at the beginning of each month. So November's right around the corner. And if it's November already, then go to MuggleCast.com and click on Vote for Us on Podcast Alley. Since this is our Halloween episode, we sent Jamie and Ben out trick-or-treating. That's what we're going to use as our excuse, and none of you can stop us. Oh, I'd also like to clear something up. There's been rumors going around.
Again.
We don't hate Ben.
Okay, speak for yourself, Andrew. Speak for yourself.
No, we really don't.
No, I love Ben. Ben's...
I've been a bad host. We've been sort of acting like we don't like him because just the way we would say that, and people were thinking, "Oh, how do you if he's a co-host, then why do you have him on if you hate him?" and blah blah blah. But no, we don't.
Ben is my
right, guys.
Ben is my favorite Kansan.
Yeah. He's going to be living with me for a week, so I have to like him. I'm forced to do this. I have no choice. Someone get me out of here.
I'll drive to New Jersey and we'll pick you up on our bus route to New York.
Episode 12. A lot of you were having problems with it stopping at 30 minutes and 49 seconds. I did make a news post, but apparently still a lot of people missed it. I think the error mostly occurs in iTunes. If you're downloading and it cuts out at 30 minutes 49 seconds, go to MuggleCast.com and click on Downloads/Episodes. And in there is a new version of the show. It's the same exact show, just it has the entire file. So if you want to go back and listen to it, because 30 minutes of us is not enough. You got to get the full thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, but if it's 30 minutes and 48 seconds, that is completely not our fault.
That's completely normal.
If it cuts out at 30:48, I mean.
No, but anything shorter than
an
hour something, hour 14, I think.
Something like that. It was a long show, but what was funny was that we were all talking about. Laura was saying how we don't get closure in life with death, and we were all like, yeah, kids really don't get closure when their relatives and things die, and then bam, the episode shuts off, and everybody checks their little iTunes thing, their little iPod, and they're like, huh, what? Closure? What?
We wanted to demonstrate what we really meant. We wanted to get the full feel.
That's what.
But
it was.
no, the entire show is up on MuggleCast.com. Just click on Downloads Episodes. And as some of you might know, November is Native American Month, and some of you might have projects for school, or may just be interested in the Native American culture. For this reason, the next few shows will be sponsored by powwows.com. On the site, you can find a forum, a photo and video gallery, information about powwows, a calendar of powwows, and much, much more. To visit the site, go to powwows.com/MuggleNet, or just go to MuggleCast.com and we'll have a link right there on the main page. I was on the site the other day, and I'll tell you what, it is a great site for research because it has dancing styles, singing, grand entries, powwow etiquette, and much more. So visit it today, powwows.com/MuggleNet. And finally, one last note. We're growing, guys. We're growing. We're growing. We're growing.
I have grown 3 inches since I started MuggleCast.
You bombed. But anyway, we are now in a partnership with Mobilecast, which is a mobile podcasting service that is a service that goes onto your cell phone, and then you can listen to and download podcasts right there on your cell phone. And one of those podcasts that you can download and listen to on your cell phone is...
MuggleCast!
No, Pottercast.
What's
No, just
Pottercast?
kidding. It is MuggleCast. So Mobilecast is a great new feature. We're not getting paid by them. We're not paying them. We're partnering with them in order to help each other promote one another. And I really think that this mobile... Right now we have podcasting. You put it on your iPod, you listen to it on your computer, blah, blah, blah. But what does everyone have? Not everyone has a cell phone. I mean, not everyone has an iPod. Everyone does have a computer, but what if you want to listen to it on the go? And that's why this new service, I really think, has potential. Because now everyone can listen to it while they're on the road.
Andrew, I have a question.
So
I have a Nokia
What?
3120 phone, and I was wondering if all phones are really compatible, because our shows are pretty long. They're like an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, right now this is only compatible with a few
I
certain
see.
phones. You want me to go through them real quick? They are the Motorola Razr, which every person has almost. Not every
I
person,
have a
but a lot of
Nokia.
people have. The Motorola Rocker, which also supports iTunes now, but you can't download podcasts through that. The Nokia 6620, 6630, and 6682, the Sony Ericsson K700, and the Sony Ericsson S710. So if anyone has those phones, Mobilecast is a free service. So for more information, just go to MuggleCast.com and click on the button that says Mobilecast. And the main topic for this week is loop. Oh, wait, no, we aren't going to be doing Lupin this week because, we'll be honest, we announced what character we're going to be discussing on this show too late, and we were expecting a lot of voicemails, but we actually got none because we didn't give people enough time, I don't think. So, at the end of each show, starting with this show, we'll be telling you what character we're going to be talking about a week ahead. So if you want to get on the show with your voicemails, with your questions, they have to be voicemails. Please don't email them. We appreciate the emails, but we can't air emails. And we like being able to play people's voices. So if you have a question regarding to next week's character, just listen towards the end of the show. We'll tell you what character. And, okay. But, right... Instead of talking about Lupin this week, we are going to cover Halloween first off, and then we got a little more stuff to talk about. Some more stuff to talk about. Halloween, it has been such a important part in the Harry Potter books. There's been a lot of events that have happened on Halloween. Anyone want to start with some? Eric, you want to
Sure.
go over them?
Okay, we'll go
The first
we'll
one
go
would be what?
chronologically. So the first one would be Harry's parents' murder,
Yeah?
I guess, unless we know something before that. Okay, so the attack on Harry's parents by Lord Voldemort. And you know what? It's kind of a bad thing to start off on because not only was Halloween a terribly bad thing, but that was the fall of you-know-who, so it's kind of a good thing. But generally speaking, Halloween has not been too happy for Harry. There was his parents' murder, and in the first year There was the Troll in the Dungeon, which we're going to play an audio clip of somewhere in the show. Second year was the Death Day? Oh, the first attack.
Death Day party.
The first attack on the wall, the writing on the wall of Mrs. Norris, which was funny, but a bad thing anyway, because everybody suspected him. Micah, do you remember what happened in 3?
Wasn't that when Sirius Black
right. Yeah.
broke into the common room?
Got it. And in book 4, which is a really important one, was the Goblet ceremony, as Micah pointed out to me earlier. The Goblet of Fire, where Harry found out that he was sentenced to more or less be put through trials and suffering.
And we're going to move on to that in a minute, but first of all, is it worth discussing that J.K. Rowling puts these things on Halloween? I mean, there hasn't been any Halloween events in the past 2 books, probably because there's better stuff going on than to really mention Halloween. But is there any question here? Why she does it?
I think that's really a good question, because in book 5 and 6, I think somebody said that Harry's first detention with Umbridge was on Halloween or something like that, so there might still be some kind of connection that we're missing, but I don't think the Halloweenians are pronounced as much as they used to be anymore in the last 2 books, so that is a good question.
I really always took it as, didn't she say Halloween was her favorite holiday? So it wouldn't surprise me that she would try to make it more prominent because of that.
You mean in recent books?
I'm talking about when she
did it to begin with.
When she started the series, how Halloween was always far more prominent in the books, and she talked about how Halloween was her favorite holiday.
Well, Halloween has really evolved, I think. It's got a lot of decor to it, you know? When you think of Halloween, you think of pumpkins and ghouls and demons and candy and,
and witches and I guess wizards.
Yeah.
But, so it only makes sense. Personally, I think that something should have, Halloween should have been mentioned in Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince. But it didn't happen, and
I'm sorry, I think they were too busy snogging in book 6 much too.
It's true.
Okay, according to FluNetwork.org, states that Molly Weasley's birthday, Mrs. Weasley, was actually born on October 30th, which is probably from J.K.'s site. So Mrs. Weasley was born the day before Halloween, which is interesting. Could she possibly meet a bad fate in the future? Guys?
It's possible. But at this point, I think, and we discussed this last time, no one's safe.
Yeah, good point.
They're all doomed.
Also, Angelina Johnson. Oh, that's interesting. Angelina Johnson was born the last week of October. They don't know the exact date, but she got attacked in book 6 and nearly died.
But here's a good question to ask ourselves. Why hasn't Harry made a bigger deal of Halloween? Because it was the day that his parents both died.
Well, first of all, excellent question. But does he know it was on Halloween? Has anybody actually... He does.
Yes. Didn't Hagrid tell him so?
I don't seem to remember that Hagrid was terribly precise about the day, but knowing my luck, I'm totally wrong, and the comments are going to overflow with people yelling that I should be moved off of the podcast. So
come on, we've all had our mistakes.
How did we find out about it in the books then?
Well, no, the
Hagrid
question
told
is,
Harry.
Yeah, Andrew. The thing is,
so Harry does know.
Well,
right,
I don't think he told him what date though.
Between the books and the movies, there's a lot of things, and in the first book, Hagrid tells Harry almost everything, even the Voldemort part, right in front of the Dursleys. Like, right in front of them in the books. And that's not in the movies. He tells them in the Leaky Cauldron in the movies. So, there's a significant deal more that Hagrid actually tells Harry in front of the Dursleys in book 1, and I think that's important. What I don't know, I don't think it's answered in either the books or the movies, is how Harry knows his birthday. Because I don't know how the Dursleys would know, and Dumbledore might have told them, but why would the Dursleys tell Harry his birthday? That would give him something to look forward to. And
not if they wanted to use it as just another reason to torment him.
Right, but, I mean...
Because if he knows when his birthday is, why would he be looking forward to it if he's living with the Dursleys?
And if he knows all he's going to get is, like, a sock.
Pre-Hogwarts, right, exactly.
Well,
So what is he looking forward to?
I guess, but he was looking forward to it. You know, he was looking forward to being 11, and even though it was crap, it said, you know, it's not every day you turn 11. So he's looking...
Yeah.
I mean, I just
That's
don't know
true.
how he knew it, because it seemed like an obscure thing for him to know. Is all I'm saying, because
Well, I
don't
could
think
see
they
the Dursleys using it as
torment, right?
just another thing to make him more miserable. But what I don't think they count on is how optimistic Harry is.
That's true.
And to go back to the Halloween thing for just a moment, I mean, perhaps it's made into such a big deal just because when you think of witches and wizards, you think of Halloween. So wouldn't that be a holiday that should just be celebrated naturally in that type of situation?
Environment
Yeah.
or genre. Yeah, I think that's great.
Now here's a question. This just came to mind. Okay, for Halloween, all we Muggles, we dress up as witches and wizards. Do you think that witches and wizards dress up as Muggles?
Did they dress up in the first place?
Oh,
I
well,
bet Arthur Weasley does.
It's Muggle Day. Yeah, no, I'd love to see the Ministry of Magic employing a Muggle Appreciation Month. You know, with the Prime Minister coming over. You know, I don't really think that happens. So, but they should have Muggle Appreciation Month, and maybe they could learn something and stop dressing like Scarlet Women at all these Quidditch Cup events.
So we did mention that on Halloween, the goblet pulling, name calling, whatever you want to
The
call
ceremony.
it, did occur.
Yes.
And
Cedric.
it just so happens Goblet of Fire is coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
How's that for a crazy conspiracy? Anyone want to crack that one?
Sure.
Am I going to see an editorial on that one in another week?
Well, I think Halloween.
But we've seen so much of the movie lately. New videos.
Yeah.
We really
Does
have.
it change your impressions at all? I know for one that it changes mine, and I completely understand why it's not a PG-13
yeah,
movie.
same.
Why it is a PG-13 movie. It just differs so much from the other books, from the other movies, and I think Mike Newell is to credit for all of this.
Ferret Malfoy down Goyle's pants.
Yeah. I
That's
was
a
curious as to
PG-13
what
moment.
everyone else thought of that.
That's
like the scene that launched 1,000 bad fan fictions.
Yeah, Laura, you know, Mike Newell.
No, really, watching all these videos, I'm very impressed because the acting skills, when you compare the acting skills we've seen in these scenes to the Sorcerer's Stone movie, it's amazing how much more in tune the actors are.
And intense. You know, they're portraying more intense characters, and I think
And
they're doing it right.
it's just the humor is there in this movie. Obviously, it's a bit more scarier. One of the clips, even though it's not really a big deal to us, there's more cursing in here. You see Daniel Radcliffe playing an older, more frustrated Harry.
Yeah, it's the ferret scene. He says, "I don't give a beep what your father thinks."
Yep.
Right.
But he doesn't say beep. I don't give a beep what your father thinks, Malfoy. I don't give a flip. Ooh. All right. Anyway,
But
about the movies, I think we're seeing too much.
yeah, I called this a couple of shows ago.
Yeah, there's
I think Warner Brothers is overdoing it a bit this time.
a little bit, just because we didn't get much of POA, and now we're getting like the best scenes. You know, the most anticipated things, the ones we really wanted to see, including the first, you know, and only classroom scene. You know, we're seeing that. We're seeing the Yule Ball. We're seeing Harry and Ron's fight, which I want to talk about in a few minutes. But we're seeing all this stuff, and I want to wait for the movie.
I know, and I felt like they were overdoing it with Prisoner of Azkaban, because I remember before that came out, there were so many pictures. I made screensaver out of it, and it's just hundreds upon hundreds of pictures that were released before that movie. And now we're seeing so many Goblet of Fire pictures, not to mention all these clips. I mean, we've practically seen it.
It's strange. Harry Potter doesn't need promotion. I think that's the
Exactly.
last thing that does. You know, I mean, if they would have kept the original trailer, I think people would be a little tired of the original trailer, but at the same time, they'd still be just as excited. And you know, the pictures.
But you know what? Warner Brothers has nothing to lose because everyone's going to go see it either way.
Right. And I think
They're not afraid of putting too much out, and then some people come to the conclusion of, oh, this movie stinks. I'm not seeing it because it's Harry Potter.
and it's great.
Everyone's
It
gonna
is
see
good.
it.
This looks like the best movie.
Well, the one thing that I really didn't like was the whole scene with Dumbledore basically shaking Harry to death after.
Okay, yeah. All right,
his
what's
name
up?
came out
Okay,
of the
Michael
goblet.
Gambon. Michael Gambon question mark.
Yeah, I don't
that's
like
that's
him
what
as
we're talking
Dumbledore.
about because
Oh, come
I
on.
don't
I
either.
liked Gambon in Prisoner of Azkaban.
no,
I sincerely liked him. I thought he did a wonderful job. But
Yep.
now that I'm seeing, I'm a little, I'm not going to throw out, a full-on judgment on this because I haven't seen the whole movie. But Dumbledore was very calm in the book when Harry's name came out of the cup. He didn't yell or anything. He just said Harry Potter, and then he said, go.
in this one, he backs him up into the big trophy, and he goes, "Did you put your name in the goblet?" Shaking him, and he's like, "No, sir, I swear I don't." And he says, "Swear to me you did not."
This is the Dumbledore that I have been waiting for.
No.
Come on.
Well,
I mean,
But he's not that way to
seriously.
Harry. That's the thing with Dumbledore. He understands things, and as Laura said, he was calm when things happen. When complete.
He's too calm.
No.
He's not.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. I respect Richard Harris. Okay.
I honestly
I'm
like
sorry
Gambon
that he
better.
passed on.
I'm not
than
saying I
Harry.
like
Me
Richard.
too.
I'm not saying I like
Me
Richard Harris,
too.
but I think Richard Harris was a little bit too calm. But Michael Gambon is more too violent, I think, because.
He's a powerful Dumbledore. This is how Dumbledore is supposed to
But
be.
he's powerful to the wrong people.
I like the feisty Dumbledore because he's the head of Hogwarts.
But he's feisty.
He should be angry. He should be yelling.
You know what I think they're
not
doing,
at Harry. Not at Harry. He's feisty, but to the wrong people. You know, when Dumbledore has to take down the Ministry people, yes, he's feisty. That's the Michael Gambon Dumbledore I want to see, but not towards Harry.
Good. So you'll see it in future movies. Do you want to see Richard Harris doing the final battle?
We won't.
Can you? Well, I mean,
But do you want-
Could you
want to?
Could you picture Richard Harris
Absolutely
doing?
not. But do you want Michael Gambon to sit there in book 5 and say, Harry, I was an idiot. I held off telling you everything.
Yes, because he can
I
do mood swings.
No, he can't
Richard
do
Harris
mood swings.
wasn't.
Everything's angry.
He couldn't get mad.
Everything's.
I don't think he.
What I think they're trying to do is I actually remember reading in an interview, I believe it was with Alfonso Cuarón, don't quote me on that though, that they were trying to, in Prisoner of Azkaban, channel more of the anger that we saw in Order of the Phoenix from Harry, so that there was a little bit of character development there. I think that might be what they're doing with Dumbledore as well.
But I think
Developing the character.
Yeah.
But when stuff goes down, Dumbledore is usually calm, unless he has to fight off the bad people. I mean, here he is shaking Harry and making him swear things, and I think it's very important that we see this lighter side of Michael Gambon, because when he does confess everything to Harry, it's going to seem like he's really, yelling at him more, you know? And really, he blames himself, and Dumbledore is a very self-blaming person. But I don't think...
But first we have to ask ourselves, was this Mike Newell's decision to have him shake Harry, to do a little bit more yelling? Did Alfonso and Mike both take advantage of Michael Gambon being the new actor by making Dumbledore a little bit more feistier, being a little bit more angry?
I like the idea that what Micah said was that they're adding more contrast to Harry by changing Dumbledore, and I actually did like Richard.
Yeah, that works.
And Richard Harris in
He
Prisoner
means
of
Michael
Azkaban,
Gambon.
I did like. I didn't think there was enough of him, but I did like, the whole,
Yeah.
with the time turner scene and him going good night and just leaving them there.
Oh, that was perfect.
That was funny, but I do think he is a little too forceful. A little bit. especially to the wrong people.
You know what, Eric? I don't agree with you.
Okay, fine, but no, I think he should be forceful, but not to Harry, not to the wrong people. You know, I mean, Michael Gambon can kick serious butt. He really can, and I want him to, but not Harry's. That's all I'm saying.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The Warner Brothers does what they want to do to make the movie more interesting. They're not going to keep
By putting child abuse?
Michael Gambon being a Richard Harris. They want to take advantage of this new actor by changing it up, by changing the character of Dumbledore. And yeah, I agree too that it does also affect Harry because you have this new actor that's putting a different perspective on it.
I think there was a lot of just actor abuse in this movie, especially if you look at the rules are absolute clip, where Snape just continuously slaps Harry and Ron on the back of the head with a book.
Yeah, it's an underlying theme of child abuse, and I mean...
That's what makes it so funny. It's not child abuse, don't even...
No, the guy who reviewed our thing said that it was a scene that was completely out of Snape's character, and though it might have been funny, it was out of character, and it was a good scene for Alan Rickman, he wrote, but he just didn't like it because it was not in Snape's character to actually hit somebody. And I agree, I don't think it is. So I don't know what's quite going on with, Gambon shaking Harry and Snape beating Ron and Harry over the head and just forcefully shoving their head forward into their books. What's going on? Does Mike Newell, was he abused in the boarding school that he went to by these teachers? I mean, I'm thinking Pink Floyd here. I really am thinking Pink Floyd. It's like, the meat grinder where they're walking and they jump into the meat grinder and it's terrible. British schools, are British schools that bad? Please, Brits of the world, email me and tell me if your boarding school was this cruel to you as Michael Gambon it is to Harry.
This is Hogwarts, Eric. The rules are changed.
So Dumbledore
can happen.
Does Dumbledore can abuse his students because it's Hogwarts?
Yes. but moving along here.
Yes.
My personal pick for this movie is Miranda Richardson.
I love that.
47 years old.
I love her.
Brilliant.
This is going to be there's always one actor in the movie that I feel just takes command and really is the one you always get excited about seeing in each scene. This is going to be her. The clips that we've seen so far, I remember reading that what was it called? That thing that Warner Brothers put out a couple weeks ago.
That 51-page thing.
Right. What was that called?
I don't remember.
Me either.
I remember reading in a document released by WB talking about how they dressed Miranda Richardson in the Rita Skeeter, she had the hair. But in each different scene, depending on what she was reporting on, she wears a different outfit. And it relates to that scene.
That's cool.
So I think, there's going to be like this theme with her each time. Each time you're going to see her, she's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's I'm going to like it.
I'd love to see her
She's
Harry bashing outfit.
very funny.
If she has like a Harry bashing outfit and has little lightning bolts all over it.
If only.
Lightning bolts, stilettos.
I think she's just one of those people, like Andrew said, that when you read the books, that's exactly how you picture the way she came up on film.
She's perfect.
She really is. I like that.
How about the rumors swirling about the new actress for Umbridge? I'm trying to look up her name right now.
Well, that's Imelda Stone. I haven't seen. I don't think
I looked at her picture and actually she's obviously not all made up in the picture, but just her facial expression and the way. I'm looking forward to seeing how she turns out because her facial expressions just look exactly like I imagined Umbridge to. So, I mean, I'm not trying to insult her, but
no, it's the biggest insult. No, but no, that's the thing. When you walk to somebody and you say, you would make a great, evil person, or you were the perfect evil monster. It's not a compliment, but at the same
I think in Order of the Phoenix, she's going to be that actress who everyone's going to be looking forward to seeing in each. Because, especially when I was reading that book, the Umbridge scenes, you got afraid.
Umbridge.
You were...
And at the same
And you
time,
just
looked
had a
forward.
hate for
at
her.
the same time, you looked forward to them too.
Because you knew
in a
she
way.
was going to meet a
That-
sticky end.
That's a good question. When I was reading book 5, every time Umbridge did something, one of those new orders, I was literally
I got so mad.
furious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, Umbridge.
It will be a good movie if this Imelda Staunton will be able to portray the same character and make us feel the same way as we did with the books.
Yes, Umbridge.
That is when we'll know if she's successful.
Umbridge was the only character that I ever recall actually beating my pillow after reading a scene with her.
Everyone had a hate for her.
Oh.
It was amazing how J.K. Rowling can
It was
write
a
this.
genuine
So people will...
hatred.
Yeah, it was a genuine hate.
It was the only character that I mean, I don't like, Fudge and stuff, and Scrimgeour, is
But
an idiot.
I hated Umbridge.
But Umbridge
Hated
was...
her.
And her hem, every
Ugh.
time she did that. And I have the audiobook to that, and it's hem. Oh my god, you just want to beat her face in and be like,
I
"Ugh,"
can...
and she goes,
That's probably a fun one to listen to.
die, shut up! Sorry, please cut that out, Andrew.
It's too bad Harry
No,
didn't
but-
know Sectum Sempra then.
Oh. Oh, somebody write a fanfic where he just meets up with Umbridge and Sectum Sempers her. I don't know. Anyway, please, I don't want to be that forceful in the actual cast. But I really did hate
Oh, I thought
Umbridge.
it was good.
Okay.
Okay.
Harry and Ron's fight. Can we talk about that in Goblet of Fire? Because we do have the clip where it supposedly starts. But I have to say, for one, that I was disappointed in the way it seems that Ron, he's upset with Harry, but in the scene where he confronts him, it's not necessarily very forceful or as forceful as it should be, because then we see the other 3 or 4 clips I think there is where like the repercussions of their fight happens, and it seems really drawn out, and it seems like there wasn't that big of a bang to support Ron, not talking to Harry and Hermione having to be their owl between them, like, in the other scenes. I don't think that the fight was that big, the actual scene where they're in the dormitory.
See, that scene, it was alright to me, but the scene that really bothered me was where Hermione was playing Messenger Girl.
I think that's cute.
I didn't like it because in the book, Ron is just flat out ignoring Harry. He's not going to come and tell him Hagrid's looking for you. He didn't want anything to do with him.
No, but
so I feel like in a way he wouldn't want to give Harry that, he wouldn't want to help him, especially since in the other clip that we see in the movie, it looks as though Ron knows about the dragons.
Well,
I don't think he did in the book, did he?
I'm not
So
sure.
he would obviously, in the movie, theoretically, know that Hagrid was going to show Harry the dragons, and since he's so mad at Harry about the tournament, why would he
It was
want
taunting.
to? Why would he want to come and give him that information?
But it was taunting. It wasn't helping him. It was more like, I know something you don't, but since you're the almighty powerful king who hoodwinked the goblet, you might as well know this too. And I think, the whole fact that I think Ron just wanted to tick Harry off and let Harry know that he was still upset with him by getting Hermione to say that, because you know what I'm trying to say? I mean, I guess
I do, but also I can't see Hermione
supporting that.
doing that either, especially when they're standing 15 feet apart. Because it seems like there was one point in the book where Harry was walking around the lake with Hermione, and he said, well, you can tell him, and Hermione was like, no, I'm not going to tell him anything. You tell him yourself.
That's true. She is supportive of them getting back together and talking to each other. So she probably wouldn't. What I paid more attention to, and I think that's probably why the scene played the way it did, was Emma's acting. A few episodes back, I said I wanted to see a more book smart Hermione, and I actually think that we are getting a little bit more of that, because the scene with Hermione and Harry on the bridge, where she's explaining, Victor as this physical person, she uses some kind of big word that I don't even know what it is. And I know some words, but so she's using this and displaying her knowledge, and I think the whole owl thing was a great simile. Even if you didn't like the scene, the whole I'm not an owl she is sending messages just like an owl. So I thought it was a great, it shows a little bit more smarts on her part. So I was happy. That's what I paid attention to in that scene. Was Emma.
I agree with you, Eric. I don't think this scene was as powerful as it should have been, because it's really the first fight that we see between these two friends, essentially.
And it's supposed to last a long time, and the resolution is supposed to be crazy good. And
Right.
for Ron just sits down in bed, and he goes to sleep. He's like, Harry.
He comes off as being more hurt.
Yeah,
than anything.
than angry hurt.
It's too toned
Yeah.
down.
And-
That's what I think.
And I don't think Harry.
Well, this is another victim of what we like to call Goblet of Fire lasting 147 minutes. Or is it 43?
No, but the fight could have lasted. Well, what could have happened is.
No, that's the point. They can't make it last. We're on these time restrictions where they have to cut things down.
Then they should have made it that Ron goes up to his, the doorman, slams the door in Harry's face, and he doesn't get to defend himself. He, something like that. What happened was Ron lays down, and he says that thing to Harry, and Harry has time to defend himself. He actually sits there going, Ron, you're wrong. I never did this, and I never did that. And Ron just looks at him in that hurt Ron face, and he lays down and goes to bed. And Harry feels like he's been treated in injustice. But I just don't think it's powerful. I think they could have done a more powerful scene in a shorter amount of time.
I agree. I really think that the scene in the book was very powerful because you have Harry was standing there struggling to try and get that banner that they'd tied around his neck off, and Ron just sits there and watches him. And that just, I can't imagine the kind of pressure that you have. Even it is your best friend, but you have to realize when they're not getting up to try and help you, and they're just sitting there and watching you with this look of...
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And here Ron is giving him time to explain himself and not believing a word. And it is injustice still, but at the same time I think it would have been much more effective if he just came up and said, oh, you wouldn't tell your best friend. And then that would, spark Harry into fighting back. I don't think there was that much for him to fight back to. It was wrong, but it wasn't like... Ron wasn't hurt, like angry hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He was just hurt.
Well, in the book, Ron just wouldn't listen. He... snapped his curtains shut.
Exactly, which was, completely, unfair and in his face. But this one wasn't... It was in Harry's face, but it wasn't that powerful. So, I don't know if the friendship thing will actually be up to par or up to believability, because, Ron has to go ignore Harry, and there's that whole scene with Hermione and the owl and all that stuff, but I don't think... If that's the only really big confrontation they have... You know what? What I want to know if they have that Scar comment in where, Harry says, it's what you want anyway.
I hope.
Because that is what I think, that's going to be the only thing that might bring their fight up to believability, if they have that's a big line clash. That's the thing. So if that happens, I'll be happy. But I'm worried that it won't be believable.
No, I agree with you. Like you said, it wasn't powerful enough, and maybe there is something after that point that we didn't see that will lead to a little bit more of an argument, but...
Otherwise, I think it'll dwindle.
Exactly.
We have the unforgivable curse beginning of that one, the classroom, which was...
where the trio are in the library.
Oh, yes. That's interesting. But there's I saw that one right after I saw Dumbledore shaking Harry. So then he comes to tell them, who comes to tell them to get in the I don't know. I remember
Moody.
Because I was so shook up about Dumbledore. I was like, oh my God, everybody is against Harry, even the good guys. So there's the scene where Barty Crouch Jr. casts the Dark Mark, but I didn't like it because what happened was the fires had been extinguished and there was nothing left of the campground, and then Harry's dazed and confused and stuff, and he doesn't have his glasses on. But so what happens is Barty Crouch Jr. just walks up and there's nobody around, and he walks up and he lifts it up into the air and he says, "Mors Mordra," and then it comes out, and that was the end of the clip. But I thought it was very atypical and different from the book, because in the book so much is happening, and it's this big thing where nobody knows where anybody is, and it's this big hustle and bustle. But in the movie, nobody's around, and he just comes up and...
Not to mention, if he does it in front of Harry, then there's not going to be any doubt whatsoever as to it not being Winky.
No, yeah, right. Well, Winky's cut out of the movie, and Harry didn't have his glasses on, so he doesn't see who actually conjures it. But my problem was that he conjured it so calmly and not really in revenge. Like, and what I don't think happened is I don't think it scared the Death Eaters off, because from the look of the scene, they were long gone. Which is really a shame, because the Dark Mark was used to proclaim his, loyalty to Voldemort. And from the look of things, the fires were long gone, and so were the Death Eaters.
Now,
it's kind of disappointing.
Along those same lines, you just mentioned Winky not being in the movie. Have we heard anything about Dobby being there or not being there?
No elves are at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, one of the reviews we got on MuggleNet that we posted said that there were no elves whatsoever. Which is one thing I should bring up, I guess, because we didn't. Have we seen any effects from the first two movies in the third or the fourth movie? We've seen some of the same actors, but as far as the effects, we didn't see. I would like to see Dobby again because it's a good tie between the fourth and the second movie.
Well, he was also instrumental in the second task.
He was, but then they made that Neville, so that's okay. But my problem is that I don't think that the films kind of blend together as films anymore because we stopped having John Williams doing the sound, the music.
Yeah, but don't even say that that's going to affect it. He that's not going to. Do you really think John Williams not composing the music?
No, I like the new music, but what I was saying, Andrew, was that we don't get to see Dobby again, so there's really no tie besides the actors to the first two movies of.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So that was my only and I believe the Marauder's map isn't in movie 4 either. So there's no tie, prop tie or creature tie. Hogwarts has changed, and there's just no. Besides the actors, there's nothing similar about the movies. It seems.
Well, this is what happens when there's director switches, and there's the problem with time constraints where.
Underwear.
Yeah. Like underwear. Well, I hope they change their underwear more than once every 2 years.
You know what I meant.
I know what you mean. Wow. Steve Kloves, how often do you change your underwear? Well, I change it like I change movies.
Does anyone want Alfonso to direct another Potter movie?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Really?
I do.
Really?
I loved Alfonso.
Really?
I loved him.
I give him all the credit in the world for finally making that switch with the actors from the cloaks all the time and being all perfect and wizard to now he turned them into regular average teenagers.
He did that, and I will credit him with that. But I thought he did it a book too early. I think we needed love because book 3 is all about love. I thought he did it. He did do it though, which is why I think Goblet of Fire will be such a great movie. Is now that they can all act as regular teenagers, but I kind of lose faith in movie 5 if he was directing because who knows how many scenes from book 5 would be cut out and he'd still be doing things like the bird into the Whomping Willow.
What I liked about Alfonso was that, and this is totally just me, but now when I watch Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, I fall asleep. I get bored. Yeah. And when I watch Prisoner of Azkaban, I don't get bored. And what I credit him with is he really made the movie a good movie. It's not honestly, I would love to see someone like Terry Gilliam get a hold of a Harry Potter movie. That would just please me to no end.
Sorry, Terry Gilliam?
What?
Terry Gilliam?
Yes.
Who is Terry Gilliam?
He is one of the Pythons, Monty Python.
Okay, cut that out. I should have known that. I'm sorry. Okay, wait a minute.
No, he's directed some
Okay, because I was
Gilliam. And I also think that he really got the actors just. They really.
Well, I think I know. I mean, the actors like Kenneth Branagh is an awesome actor. And he did such a great job in Chamber of Secrets, and it's that the actors were able to act different ways for both Chris Columbus and for Alfonso, and I mean I think that's cool, and I do like POA. I think it, but I treat it as a different movie, and I treat it as art. And I think Alfonso really wants us to treat his film as art because it really is.
I agree. As a film, I love it as a film. Obviously, it wasn't 100% true to the book. Of course not. There were a couple of scenes about it that bothered me. I thought the Buckbeak subplot was just very rushed.
World.
Corny.
Yeah, that was pretty corny. But
You guys want to hear a funny story?
Yeah, sure.
So, I went to see the movie the day it came out, Prisoner of Azkaban, and first of all, I was kind of disappointed by this movie, and so about I'd say, well, it was towards the end. Little did I know, so I went to the bathroom and I came back, and the credits were rolling, and I was like, no, I missed the end, and it was the most depressing thing.
And then you saw the end, and you were like, "Oh my God, why did I cry over that?"
So just a month ago, I finally saw the end of it because I haven't watched it since, and I got all excited because I'd never seen I had forgotten that I missed the end, and when I saw it, I was like, "Wait a second, was that a deleted scene? Should I post this on MuggleNet?" It was.
Should I post because? No, it ends with him smearing across the screen.
Yeah.
Bug splat.
Can you imagine what it must have been like to be in the front row for that?
First of all, let me just say, I had an overwhelming disappointment with when I came back and the movie was over and I had missed the ending. Because what was especially disappointing is that it ended so suddenly. The ending was not good. I
think the ending could have been better.
Yeah.
As a whole,
the
I
Firebolt-
liked Prisoner of Azkaban, the movie, far more than the first two.
I didn't. I liked. I mean, I think one of the things that makes it easy to be treated as an art film is because the third book had all the really cool CGI and the art effects. Like they had Buckbeak, they had the Marauders map, which was then turned into the credits, and we kind of see that Mike Newell now with the review that we got on MuggleNet that he says the credits of Goblet of Fire are actually stuff flying out of the goblet. Like little papers flying out of the goblets.
That's cool.
Well, that would explain why it lasts 15 minutes.
Well, I think it's cool, that they do that, but because they're taking off of what Alfonso did, which was great. But movie 3 really did have a lot of all the the werewolf and the Whomping Willow and the Marauders
I
map.
didn't like the werewolf.
I didn't personally either, but the fact
I thought
is,
it looked like
it did.
Like
It
a
was
hairless chihuahua or something.
Yo quiero Taco Bell. Okay, but they did have all the night bus and all that stuff. It was a very artsy film, so I think it was very appropriate for Alfonso to turn it into that because of all the special effects. But we did lose story in there.
Oh, we did, definitely. And I think the most disappointing part about Prisoner of Azkaban was the fact that we didn't find out all that much about the Marauders. And I read somewhere that they were planning on revealing more of that in Goblet of Fire, but if there's no Marauders map...
Which is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think in book 5, or movie 5, sorry, what they need to do to bring the movie series together is in book 5 have a really good scene with Harry and Sirius and Lupin. Mm-hmm. I think that's, and I hope they do the pensive scene with Snape. The thing that they need to do, and I think it's very important, is in order for them to include the part about Harry and his family, in order to include his love for them at all, they must do the pensive scene with Snape and Lily and all the Marauders as kids.
Yeah.
And they need to have Harry confront Sirius and Remus in the future and say, what was my father like? Because I think that's so important. Harry's love for his parents is so important, and they don't have it in the movies. And they're running out of opportunities. They really are running out of opportunities to put it.
My biggest problem, sorry.
No, keep going, Micah.
Was exactly what Laura said. With Prisoner of Azkaban, definitely the whole Marauders being left out, because I think if you look at it, it's kind of like, well, how did Lupin know how to use the map after he took it from Harry? You know what I mean? Or how did he know? Mm-hmm. How did he know what it was? How did he know what it did when he was explaining it to him in the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom after he took it away?
Right. Not only is it not mentioned, but it's now a plot hole because of that. Because they still made him, do that. So
I think the thing is, Prisoner of Azkaban especially, was definitely a film geared more towards the fans and the people who knew why everything was happening that was happening. Because I will admit there were people in my theater who were totally bewildered. There was one girl sitting behind me when Hermione punched Draco, and she was like, "Why is she so mad at him?" And I just wanted to turn around and be like, well, duh, he's Draco Malfoy, but,
well,
it's obviously she hadn't read the books. Well,
it's funny because, Laura, you say that it was a movie geared towards the fans because they didn't have to include the Marauders subplot and stuff, but other people say that it's a movie geared towards the non-fans who didn't see the movie, or who didn't read the books, because it's a sit-through movie with none of that backstory.
I think it's geared towards non-fans in the fashion that I think, for instance, like I said, the first two movies put me to sleep now, but I think it was definitely a better film to keep people's attention, but I do think that in the sense that fans knew why all of what was happening, in that sense, it was geared towards fans.
I had to watch this movie more than once before I actually appreciated it. And I mean, I don't know why that was, but the first time I watched it, I just didn't like it. But the more and more I watched it, the more and more I enjoyed it. And I mean, that's just something I can't explain, I guess.
I think Chris Columbus's films have a built-in sense of enjoyment to them that's very powerful and strong, and I think Chris really, as a director, uses his actors to give them that. Like, Kenneth Branagh, you can sit and watch that scene, and Kenneth just does a great job because he's such a great actor, and it really fuels the scene in the movie, and it keeps it going, and there's a happy story to it, so it's a lighter type of mood. And I think with Alfonso, he had the humor with Aunt Marge, floating, and when Harry gets his trunk and he walks out and she's still floating, and I missed that. In the movie, I missed it. It was so funny because everybody was cracking up laughing, and I didn't see her floating, and I had to ask everybody about what just happened. And then they told me, "Oh my God, Aunt Marge was there," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's so funny." So he did have humor, and but it's slightly different. It's a different kind of humor than what Chris Columbus had. It was more built into the feel of the movie.
Right. The first time I saw it, it was just kind of like, huh? What just happened? And because it's like you guys said, there's so many things that are missing if you read the books and that they're not there in the film, that I really did have to go back and watch it a couple more times.
But it is an art film, and it is
definitely.
Well, on that note, I think it is time to wrap it up for this part of the discussion. See, how long have we been going for? Oh, jeez.
An hour.
1 hour
16.
and 17 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got that new transcriber.
Okay, well, so we're all bored of Goblet of Fire now. Alright, so now it's time to get to our weekly segments that we do produce here each week on MuggleCast that make this show shine. First off, Spy on Sparts.
Dun dun dun.
Looking at AIM right now, we will find that Emerson is costume shopping.
Let's take bets on what he's going to be.
Ooh.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, I second that. That's a good idea.
I say Napoleon Dynamite. But he's been gone for like 3 hours now, so if he can't find a Dynamite costume, I don't know. Maybe he's actually... No, you know what? He's tailor-fitting the golden suit, or whatever. That, the golden brown that... Never
Right.
mind. No,
Right, we get you completely.
he's at a dance instructor learning how to do the dance. That's what he's doing. He has his wig.
Okay, well, that was fun. And still on the topic of Halloween, I'm going to continue my weekly challenge to you. It's now 3-week weekly challenge to you, which is to dress up as one of us, whether it's Micah, Laura, Eric, Ben, Jamie, Kevin, or even myself. We have a big group of MuggleCasters, I just realized.
Yeah,
If you dress up as me, I'm so sorry.
You already got one picture, right? You already got one girl sending something in.
Yeah, one person, and I'm sorry if you really want to be me for Halloween.
We're gonna... One important thing here is to take pictures. Take lots of pictures if you dress up as one of us. I've already gotten a few emails, people saying they're going to dress up as me. I sincerely apologize in advance, because nobody's going to know who you are, except for your friends, I guess. So, take your pictures, then email them to challenge@staff.mugglenet.com, and then we will post them in a photo gallery so everyone can see them. So be forewarned, they are going to be posted online. So by sending us the photos, you do agree to having them posted online, unless you email me and say, email challenge@staff and say, hey, don't post my photos, but here, you guys can check them out. We have to see them to get points.
Okay. Actually, I have a listener challenge. Since Halloween has really brought this thing into perspective, the Goblet of Fire just around the horizon, I was thinking that if you are coming to the premiere in New York City, if you could possibly make a T-shirt about MuggleCast to wear to the Barnes & Noble. If you could do that, that'd be really cool. Because I know everybody really has everybody's got to have this this T-shirt shop, custom T-shirt shop in their hometown. Just make one with the quote on it or something. The best thing you love about MuggleCast.
Right, and if you can maybe you want to make one or two extras for us, give them to us.
Oh yes, by all means, give us your
We'd wear 'em.
T-shirts. Yes, I will wear. If I get 365 MuggleCast T-shirts made from you fans, I will wear one every day of the year.
Aww.
That's so nice.
And it doesn't even have to be about me. It can be a quote from Ben or something, and it doesn't matter. I will wear it.
We are still working on some things for the show.
I'm a medium, by the way, an adult medium.
Oh, yeah, same here.
Sorry, Andrew, go ahead. Just keep moving on. Sorry.
So anyway, we are looking into, well, for one, now that we have sponsorships and such, we are going to start spending a little more money on the show. Because it's all for you guys. For you. Except for that singing. We are going to start upgrading some stuff. We're going to be looking into a toll-free number, so anyone can send us a voicemail.
And call in.
We'll play them on the air.
Yeah.
It'll be nice and easy. And then also, we're looking into a P.O. box. Because we like free stuff. So by creating a P.O. box that you guys can mail stuff to for us, you can do it easily. We don't want to give out your home addresses. Our home addresses. We trust you, but we don't trust that other guy.
Yeah, the one in the corner, outside the window.
He's out there again.
Micah,
I know,
Micah,
tell me
beat him
about
up.
it.
Beat him up, Micah.
All right.
So on that note, one last reminder, our Lego contest, in partnership with MillionairePlayboy.com, is still running. All you have to do is go to MuggleCast.com, and in the show notes we have a link to information about the contest. Basically what you do is you build your own Lego scene related to Half-Blood Prince, and the winner will receive 2 Lego sets. The contest runs through November 4th, and the winners will be announced on our live show on episode 15.
You know what's really funny, Andrew?
What's that?
I'm going to take my Ron Lego and a girl Lego, and I'm going to glue their faces together, and that's going to be Ron and Lavender. I think hot glue will work.
Excellent. And
And,
don't forget, everyone, to sign up or add yourself to our Frapper map. Once again, go to MuggleCast.com, click on Tell Us Where You Live. And don't forget, powwows.com is an excellent site for Native American information.
Yes.
Most importantly, powwows. We'll be
Yes.
talking about them throughout the month. So next week, we will get back to our regular character discussions where we look at one specific character in depth. Next week, we will be talking about Ginny Weasley. So send in your Ginny Weasley...
Chinny
So
Wesley.
send in your Ginny Weasley... Oh my god.
Chinny Wizzy. Chinny Wizzy.
So send in your Ginny Weasley questions to voice@staff.mugglenet.com. Please send in voicemail questions and keep them under 30 seconds. Or if you have any other questions related to any other Harry Potter books or maybe a theory or a discussion, send those in to the same address, voice@staff.mugglenet.com. But it is important to keep them under 30 seconds. That wraps up the show. Once again, I'm Andrew Sims.
I'm Eric Skull.
I'm Laura Thompson.
And I'm Micah Tenenbaum.
We'll see you next week for episode 14. Here now is another remix sent in by Ralph. Are you ready for this?
This is MuggleCast, episode 10 for October 9th, 2000.
Ben. It's 1:15 in the morning. It's Sunday night. Just get on with it.
I know, I want to go to bed too. This is my first time editing. This is taking all day.
What is wrong with you? I'm falling asleep right here.
Me too.
The music's running out. Quick, hurry.
Melissa Anelli from the-leaky-cauldron.org.
Leaky dash. What did you say? Leaky dash.
Cauldron. The Leaky Cauldron. Find the address on Google.
We have Vada Kedavra in.
Lean your telescope.
Oh yeah, sorry. I don't want to get off topic. That's never happened.
Never.
No comment.
Micah?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be here this week on the show? I mean, we didn't have you scheduled in or anything.
People ask me if MuggleNet's going to close after the 7th book is released.
The answer is yes.
You know,
Yes, we are closing.
What, we're closing? I'm not closing. I will
I
be
am.
here with my caption contest and a stick.
Well, I'm closing Leaky. This challenge is that MuggleNet and the Leaky Cauldron will compete against each other in a trivia challenge. Hopefully, I would love for it to be hosted by Steve Van Dark.
Then what were you talking about? Last episode you were all like, oh, we love each other. We're like buddies. We hang out daily. And now you're challenging us.
We can compete in trivia and still love each other.
A friendly competition.
Yeah, well, you were complaining about the fans who were trying to start things between us, and now you're like, I challenge you all.
There's nothing
now
bad
you're
about this.
cowards.
It's a fun thing.
Now you're backing out, you
A
cowards.
friendly competition.
It's a fun thing. It would be a friendly. I think it would be a lot of
Okay.
fun. But John's
Just
not
saying
allowed
if
to
it were
compete.
if it were presented as that, to begin with, instead of like, I challenge you.
Computer, please locate all Horcrux. Term not found. But, John Noe said it.
When you game with Alienware, you have the freedom to be anyone, like the galaxy's most feared warrior, and the freedom to go anywhere. Elevate your gameplay with the new Alienware X Series laptops with 11th Gen Intel Core processors. Defy boundaries and start gaming now at Alienware.com.